Welcome to the Producer's Journal, your go-to resource for aspiring creators and businesses looking to dive into the world of podcasting. Produced by SRP Studios, go to srpstudiosllc.com to book your free consultation and learn more about how your business can use podcasting to elevate brand visibility and credibility. My name is Derrick, and I leverage my years of work in the podcast industry to guide my guests to unlock their full podcasting potential. My guests also gain a platform to discuss and promote their business and other ventures. So tune in and let your podcasting journey begin. My guest today is Gigi Hatfield. She is a lifestyle, corporate, and wedding photographer and owns Gigi Photography. Her business serves those needing a professional photographer to provide them with a finished product to use for their personal or professional needs, such as families looking to update their photos and wall art, graduating seniors, professionals looking for headshot and branding services, and engaged couples looking for a photographer to hide in the woods to capture their special day, right?
That's right. That's right.
You can find Gigi's amazing work at gigihatfield.passgallery.com. The link will be in the description. And Gigi's Dream Podcast is about providing education and awareness of her photography services to her audience with the purpose of building her brand visibility and credibility. How about that? Right?
Woo,
Perfect
yeah.
fit. All right. So, Gigi, thanks for being here. How are you?
I am great. How are you today, Derrick?
It's good. It's a happy Saturday. For context, we were recording on a Saturday. I don't know when this will publish, but it's a good day here in the studio, and it's been nice getting to know you. You and I are fellow BNI members. And,
yes, we are.
Different chapters, but I met you in Germantown.
Mm-hmm.
Germantown, and I'm down in Hernando. So
Yes.
I've been pitching you all like crazy to do this with me, and thank you. So let's. I'm going to give the floor to you now. Let's talk about your business. So extrapolate on that description I just read. Give us a bigger picture of what your profession is and what you do.
So when I started my business, and I started it professionally about 4 years ago, I've been kind of a hobbyist photographer my entire life. I have 3 grown children, but as they were growing up, I always had the camera with me whenever we went to their school events, sporting events, and just, family gatherings, just to capture those memories that we can look back on, and that the kids, as they're older now, look back on. And, back in the day, they would, be, oh, Mom, really, the camera again? But now they appreciate it so much more now. And I think that's what just got me so enthused about doing this for other people. And it's just all about capturing a story for a family that is looking to create those memories, and to be able to share those memories down the road as their families grow and as their children become parents themselves, and they can reflect and just show those images from long ago, and just bring smiles to everybody's faces. And it's about capturing a story when you're out there, and getting to know the client and what they're looking for in a family picture. And
you're capturing memories too, right? Like,
yes,
and
yes,
you're
yeah.
documenting the memories, because it's a special day for these people, and then they get to relive it every time they look at the wall or wherever
Yes,
they put these pictures.
They do. They go back, and they can look at those images down the road, and look back and say, oh, I remember that day. And they can reflect on specifics about that day that aren't necessarily in that image, but they know what transpired that day, what was around them, their surroundings, where they were at. And, those are the things that you want to capture. And that's what kind of tells a story, about that day for them. And it's like that with families. And it's like that when I do senior photography as well. And it's really interesting when you get these teens that, their parents say, oh, I want to take your senior picture. Teenagers are and unfortunately can be the worst when it comes to wanting to take pictures, especially boys. But when you start to engage with them and get to know them as a client, and I have one story in general. I was taking a friend of mine. She wanted some family photos, and she had 2 children. She had a son and a daughter. And the daughter was going to be going into her senior year of high school. And she was not one of those. She was kind of more of an introvert at the time. And when we were taking the pictures, or when we started out, she just wasn't. She was very timid, reserved, and all I had to do was just get in there and just say things to just increase her confidence, you might say, and get her to just relax and enjoy it. I would take a couple of pictures and show her the image on my camera. And I think when you show them something that you take and they get to see it themselves, I think sometimes just rejuvenation kicks in for them. They're like, oh, that's not bad. That's not a bad picture. And I would say probably halfway through that session, I had her smiling and posing and doing, model styles that I didn't even have to direct her on. She just lit up. And after the session, her mom came to me and she goes, I don't know what you did, but she just loved it. She just loved it. And for me as a photographer, that's special to me, because it just means that I'm doing my job as a photographer.
Yes.
I'm giving back what I always received, when I was taking photos of my family and doing things like that. So those are the kind of the things that I like to do and capture. And just, every time I get, not every time, but I would say 70% of the time I would get a client that say, oh, I don't like taking pictures of myself. Well, I think in the day, because of the technology today and going out there and everybody taking these selfies, I don't like to take selfies of myself. I prefer to stay behind the camera, but every now and then I'll get out in front of the camera. But they don't like themselves. And girls are the funniest, because now every time I have a senior client, a female senior client, I'll go, what's your good side? You have a good side, a bad side? I get that all the time with them. And it just tickles me, because I can take a picture of both sides of their faces, and really you can't tell a difference. It's just, there's that one little thing that they don't like about themselves. But if you come about as a photographer and just bring out that, difference of opinion of what they think, they really kind of capture that, and they like, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. I like that. I enjoy that. So.
I want to punch in right there, because what I think could be missed from a photographer is the personal side of it. Yeah, you could be an amazing photographer and editor and capture the moments in the best way. But if you're cold and sterile and uncomfortable, that can just not get the best out of them. And I love that you look at it as, let's get the best out of them in person, make them feel comfortable, and I can relate because of what I do. But I'm putting people in front of video cameras, which is very scary. I mean, it's next level. So I've really had to learn on, okay, I know this is scary. You're in studio, there's lights, there's cameras, there's microphones. We're going to have fun. Try to relax them. And then through that conversation, put them at ease. Well, awesome. So let's talk about your website.
Certainly. So right now, the best way to get to my website, and it's actually more of a gallery. It's gigihatfield.passgallery.com. And that's where I post all of my images. And I have them broken down into categories, and it just gives anybody that wants to go look an opportunity. I mean, you may have somebody that's specific looking for, say, for example, senior photos. I have those out there as well, but I also have family portraits as well. So people can go look and see what I take outside of a senior, genre that I do. Families, I do, families with pets. I do young children. I do, corporate headshots. And I also shoot events. You can reach me. I have a Facebook page as well as an Instagram page. And my contact information is out there as well. And you can reach me there, Gigi Marie Photography.
All right. Event planners, all of you out there listening to this, call Gigi. You won't be disappointed. Well, awesome. Thank you for all that. And now let's talk about your podcast that you are dying to make, right? And as I've been pitching this to my friends to have on this podcast, I think it's just be fun to listen to people's ideas, because I personally think there's a lot of people out there that listen to a lot of podcasts. I think that's guaranteed. I mean, podcast medium is bigger than ever. And I think everyone has that little dream of, man, if I had a podcast, I think I'd talk about this. And they picture themselves having fun with it and maybe interviewing people. And that's what I'm trying to capture. This isn't some kind of sales pitch. It's a way to just get people's ideas and make content, quite honestly. So, but you have a really good idea. And what I love about it is you wanting to connect it to your business. And that's what I'm all about. That's what this is all about. So let's talk about what it is. I think we already discussed that. But, when you picture yourself talking into a microphone and recording your content, is it educational?
Yes, it can be. I feel that there is some education behind it. No matter what I'm trying to pitch in terms of gaining clientele, there is a bit of education, not just for the photographer out there, but for the client as well. Education on what the client is looking for specifically. So it's vital in terms of getting with clients and having that kind of that one-to-one conversation and specific is what they're looking for. As far as educating other photographers, I've been approached by a few people that they're hobbyist photographers and they want to branch out and get into photography. And there's so much out there in the Google search world that can be intimidating to a lot of photographers wanting to come up, and the stigma of having to have a college degree to be a photographer, or the stigma of being too old to be a photographer and things like that tend to cause people to scale back on stepping out of their box and wanting to do it. So educating them in the sense of, have no fear, just jump in, dive in and do it. Give them the little tidbits of what to do with the camera. And
so that education part is great, because that's what's going to really harness your credibility.
Yes.
And people can sometimes feel like, well, I'm educating my competitors. It's not like that. It's helping, and you're building a community. What you're also doing is building your credibility with people that might want to learn more about you because they might want to be a customer. So there's that too. So they want to hear that credibility. Now, they might not pay attention to the technicalities of the education, but what I think would be also a cool addition to your podcast, let's pretend you do a weekly podcast. In one episode a month, you invite a current client or a past client on. And then now we make this more story-based. And you talk about that experience and you get it out of them, what it was like, and then just reminisce. You can make it very conversational. And now, to the listeners that are looking at you as a vendor or a business to use you, now they're getting another perspective of the enjoyment they had working with you, and they get to hear that story. And I think that would be very strong for you.
Yes, I agree. I very much agree, because, reviews, that you see out on other social media accounts, that helps and benefits. But to hear it from somebody and just hear it in their voice of how they felt about the photographer and what they did for him, I think amplifies and just makes that potential client, go, oh, okay. And when they hear it versus just reading about it, because when you hear it in the voice from somebody else about how I did as a photographer for them for that session, means a lot.
The other thought I just had is, let's assume that you're doing video based over Zoom. And for the educational, let's go back to the educational. Well, what's great about Zoom, there's other platforms that you can do this on, but we just say Zoom because it's the most common. You can share your screen, right? So as you're recording your educational stuff, you can pull up pictures. You can pull up a before and after. This is how I edit. This is how I adjust color. Here's the raw. Here's what I did after, and here's how I did it.
Exactly. And there are times that I do get on, especially when we were back during the COVID stage and we couldn't get together and meet. And I would take photos. I would set up a meeting time with the client, and we would do a Zoom call, and I would pull the pictures up, and they would look at them, and I would show some of the before and after, because when they get their images back after they pick and choose the pictures that they want, they don't realize the little things that we fix that matter the most, to them, especially with like the flyaways in their hair and things like that, and how you fix that. And as a photographer, how you post edit that. And so they're able to see that, and they go, oh, okay, I see that. And how you do some whitening of the teeth and brightening of the eyes and things like that. So having that ability to show them the gallery up front and show them the before and after edits make a big difference. You
also have room for a different kind of storytelling where you can tell your audience, okay, I got a story. I just shot this event and X happened and then Y happened and things weren't going right and my battery died, or I forgot my SD cards, stuff like that. And you can get into it, but then also well, this is how I fixed it. This is what I did. This is, I wasn't expecting the certain kind of lighting situation I got. So this is how I worked around that. So now you're educating, building that credibility still, you're educating and everything. But now more heart gets put in it, because now it's Gigi just sharing a story. So that's important too. I think that's all valuable. And man, I just see podcasting really fitting for you in that way.
I really do. And it's interesting because I do listen to various podcasts, but I've never really put myself in that position of, does this fit in my category of business, as a photographer? I mean, there is some education, because I'm still learning every day. We all continue to learn every day. We will all continue to learn until, the good Lord takes us up. But you learn every day. And when I had this opportunity with you to do this, it got my wheel spinning a little bit, and realizing that this is something that I could do that would fit into my business and would help me build that clientele and help those others out there to refer to me as well, when they listen to the podcast. Yes.
Absolutely. So let's switch to another segment that I'm going to have fun with, and that is taglines or podcast names. And full disclosure, you're my third interview. And with each interview, I'm learning more and more on how I want to format this and try to have fun with this and brainstorm. So our friend Kelly Day was on the last episode, and then another gentleman. And I just said, hey, let's think of a name on the fly. And it kind of dulled down, because it's so hard. It's so hard to think of a name. But then it's also important to have like a snappy tagline along with it. So what I'm doing now is using our good friend ChatGPT. So I did not come up with these. I want to be very transparent about it. But use these tools while we have them, right? AI has its place. So you typed in a little information and description of your podcast and what you do, and it spit out a bunch of ideas. So I'd like to share some with you, and then maybe that can get some juices flowing there. But
definitely.
But and I love it, because these are things I would never think of. One of the ones that pop out with me is, picture this: stories behind the lens, right? So it's the Picture This podcast, and then you have that tag, story behind the lens.
Yeah,
I thought that was really good.
That was I love that. Yes.
Now, if you were to really niche it down to you're only talking about shooting weddings. Wedding whispers, love in every shot, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Yes.
So cherished frames, family
Mhm.
portraits explored, you know.
Oh,
So I
wow.
can send these to you.
Yes, I
Um,
would love it.
so anything come to your mind? I have plenty more we can talk about.
Oh my gosh, that is the one thing that challenges me the most when it comes to coming up with taglines, and it is true because you can get so many that are so long, and you want to narrow it down so it fits what you do, but yet it catches
yes,
it catches the person that's looking for it, and uh that has really been a challenge of mine,
it
is
is for
coming
everybody.
it
It's
is for
tough
everybody.
because
And
if you look at BNI, those that don't know, you get an opportunity to pitch your business every week, but you have 60 seconds, 30 seconds, depending on the
it,
size of your chapter. So you have to
right,
learn how to just be precise and
right.
exact. Well, the tagline is also a visual. So your cover art for your podcast, that
Mhm.
square thumbnail, you got to try to pull someone that finds you in. They need to know what this is about as best as possible with just
Yes,
one look. So a lot of good cover arts have that tagline on it, but you can't have a full sentence on there. It just doesn't
right.
look good. So yeah,
Yeah.
that 3 word, if you can summarize your podcast in 3 words strong, that's identifying what it is
Mhm.
and what it's for,
Mhm.
that's strong. And it's not easy. But
It's not,
as you can
it's
tell, ChatGPT will help you.
that's awesome. I need to check that out. So,
Yeah.
well, it's like on my business cards, I have, Gigi Marie Photography, and I wanted to come up with that one tagline that does it, and mine says capturing memories, and that's what it's about. Now, it's probably not that spicy, creative type tag, but it's what I'm about. I'm about
Hmm.
capturing memories.
We'll finish this off here with next steps. Now, if you since we talked and you said, "Wow, ever since you brought this to me, I've been kind of thinking more about this."
Mhm.
Is there anything you think about that is kind of stopping you from pulling forward with it? Is it a pain point? Is it a fear? Is it a fear of not knowing how to do it? Like, what's that first thing you think of? Is like, I'd love to do it, but.
Probably more of that fear of not knowing how to do it,
Mm,
and um I think that's where it comes from, and I'm one of those where I can listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm like, okay, how do they set that up? What do they do? How do they go about prepping for something like that? And
mm,
so I think it's and I look back on, I go, well, they've got a really good skill set in that, but they had to start somewhere.
absolutely. I mean,
They had to start somewhere themselves.
between,
And
yeah.
for me, it's probably stepping out of my comfort zone and just, you
Hmm.
know, jumping on the bandwagon and doing it.
You can't be awesome out of the gate. Okay, so I always tell people that, and your fear or your pain point or your roadblock is the most common because it's so new and foreign. So this is what I
Mhm.
always say: keep it simple. You don't have to have all the bells and whistles when you start. At the end of the day, what you need to work on is you just getting comfortable creating a baseline bullet point for whatever you want to teach or questions you want to ask your interviewee, and then just getting on it. So this is what I tell people that don't know how to start and they want to interview. They want to do they already know they want to do interview based. I'm like, all right, invite your friend over, sit at your kitchen table, turn your voice memo and hit record on your phone, put it on the table, and interview your friend. Think of some questions, think of 5 different questions you want to ask your friend and just try it. Doesn't need to be kept, doesn't need to be used, but
Right.
that will tell you quickly, oh, you know what? I liked that. That was
Yeah.
fun. Okay, maybe I can take it to the next step. The next step for you would then be just pull up a Zoom call, hit record, and record yourself.
Okay.
Giving a lesson, if you will. Or today I want to talk about lenses. Okay, great. And you talk about what you use and how you use them. And just start simple. You don't have to worry about music and intros and outros and all that stuff quite yet.
Right.
That comes later. The most important part is you, the host, and doing that. So that's my advice to you. If you ever have some moment and some motivation, be like, all right, I'm just going to pop up a Zoom call, hit record, and try it. And fail and sound crappy and feel miserable about it and not want to watch it and instantly throw it in the trash bin, right? That's fine. But you'll know quickly if this is something that you really think you could do. And then you take it from there. So it's easy to think of all the steps behind it, especially if you don't know how it's done. You're like, well, you see the big picture. You see how do I publish it? All that stuff. That's secondary. That's later. Some people focus on, they put the cart before the horse, and they get all the amazing cover art done and the planning, and they buy editing software, and they just spend all this money, and then come to find out they hate the most important part.
Exactly.
So make sure you enjoy that important part first, and then take it from there.
All right. That's good advice. That's some very good advice. Yeah.
And then you call me. And then, no.
Yes, of course. That's right. That's right.
No.
Yeah.
But so I love it. I think you'd be great for it. You're very talkative. I think you've been great today. So
Thank you.
yeah, it's good to have a bubbly personality. So, I think, but also just the way your podcast can connect to your business. It's strong. So, well, thanks again for doing this, Gigi. Let's circle back to you now. So again, your website is, or right now it's a gallery. It's Gigi Hatfield. So that's GIGI Hatfield.passgallery.com. You can find her on Facebook at Gigi Marie Photo and on Instagram at Gigi Marie Photography. So anything else that you'd like to, one last little pitch and push on your business?
No, just that I enjoy what I do. I love to engage with the client. My biggest thing is making it about them. There's a lot, we said earlier in our conversation, there's a lot of photographers that are very kind of stale and don't have a very good personality. But if you want to get the most out of a session for yourself and for your client as well, it's engaging with that client, getting to know that client, and the most important thing, making it fun. Just making it fun. Whatever you're shooting, make it fun.
Well, thank you again, Gigi. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you next week.
You got it. I'm looking forward to it. Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you. And then to the audience, thank you for hanging out and listening to Gigi's story. Please go check her stuff out. It's phenomenal work. Please do yourself a favor and check that out. And if you're interested, hit her up. And then after that, visit srpstudiosllc.com and book your free consultation. And then you can learn more about how your business can benefit from podcasting and elevating your brand visibility and credibility. That's the strongest way podcasting can work for businesses. Also, if you want to support this podcast, you can through Patreon. If you enjoy this podcast, please donate and sign up for the Patreon tip jar. It's $1 a month. Your generosity will go a long way to help this podcast. Link in the description for that as well. And again, thank you for listening and watching, and have a great day.